Hello, hello, hello. This is 3D or 2D.com's The 3D Show.
The goodbye edition. Hello, hello, hello. This is Adolf, and I have with me Joan.
Hey, everybody.
And this is The 3D Show Goodbye, and this is a John edition. So this, so this is going to be potentially your last podcast with us, potentially, more than likely.
Yeah, it's hard. It doesn't feel right. I feel like I just got started.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun, and
I'm the youngin' on the show, not by age, but just by time spent.
So, this is a different kind of final because you don't have that much time, but I still feel I wanted to give you a chance to say goodbye and have audience listen to you and have their last time together. So we're going to ask some questions, and we're going to try to have some good memories and such, and no guest stars. I did try to see if Mr. Obama or Mr. Biden or Trump would want to call in, but they said no.
They're busy. Yeah, no, I don't rate on their list.
Or can they with AI come?
Oh man!
All right, let's have fun here. What are some of your best memories of being on the website?
You know what? It's when you and I first started talking about this, I didn't know what to think, and it honestly just became not even making the podcast as much as it was just. It's so much fun for me to talk about movies and to talk about them with people I would never get to. I mean, Classic Jake and I are literally on opposite ends of the country, and you're kind of in the middle of it, although albeit to the south. So hearing and getting to feel your take and opinions of that and his, and we all have different backgrounds and ages and life experiences and how those have all impacted our love for movies and how we see them differently. That's been the best thing for me, being able to talk about that. And even if we didn't record it, I would have been happy to do that. So that's the best thing for me, really. And I don't know how many shows I've been on now, not that many compared to what you've done. You've made a lifetime out of it. And I don't know, I haven't been on as many with new Jake as I have classic Jake, I don't think, just because of how things line up. But getting to talk about that with guys and learning about things that I would have never been exposed to, that's been the best part for me.
What are your worst memories?
The worst memories I have is texting you, trying to find a time because life is so busy, and feeling guilty because I can't always get a time to record when I know what's best for you, and feeling like I'm letting you and the team and the show down by not having the scheduled time. We're kind of doing this today, and it was same thing. We're like, okay, we've got an hour here. Let's do it quick, and it, I feel bad about that. That's my worst memories of everything.
It is what it is, and I don't hold grudges or anything, so it's fine. I know we're recording this at in the afternoon on a Thursday.
Yeah, right. And I had been out of town for 3 days, and I got back early for my trip, and Adolf had texted me this morning, what's up? And I said, well, I'd be home, and we're like, all right, we'll fit it in then, so it's that's the good thing about the relationships, but it's also, for me, that's where I feel like it makes me sad that I haven't given it as much time as what my heart wants to.
You just kind of wish you could just hit pause, record a podcast, hit unpause, and then
yes,
that way I could have the rest of my family in my life and everything, and I could also have time for this and not have to worry about,
Yeah.
So what is it like to be a podcaster? For anyone that's curious, if I think you have kids, if they're listening to this, what is it like to be a podcaster?
Well, I would argue that I'm not one. I'm just someone that gets on here and gives my opinion about stuff. I would say you're one because you're the one who does all the work. I'm not doing any work. I just talk for an hour. If you get me on, you're the one doing the editing and the recording and the mixing and adding music. And if it's video ones, we've done some of those for your stuff and putting all that together. To me, that's the real podcaster. That's where all the work is. And none of the glory. And that's hard. I don't do it. I can recognize it's hard. So if you want to be a real one like you've been, I'm sure it's rewarding to certain degrees, but man, it's tough. It's tough to do it. You got to be truly dedicated to do that, and you have been. So I thank you for that, and I've just been a small part of that, and I appreciate that.
What equipment do you use to just weigh? That way people know, just curiosity.
When we started, I have a laptop, and I did buy a nicer headset with a microphone to make sure it's as clear as possible. But again, I'm just recording. I'm not doing the mixing and stuff. So we do a free online service that we get on together. If it's 2 of us or 4 of us, we're able to use that and talk. And so for the entry for me has been fairly inexpensive. So that's been nice. But it's been a great experience for me. I haven't done a lot. I've done movie reviews, like written ones, over the years, more so for Blu-rays and stuff like that. So this, I guess we met each other on Facebook or something, Adolf. I can't recall now. But just to have love for like 3D, especially, it's literally a dying breed, not to sound cliched, but it has been for years. We just keep kind of hanging on, and it's fun to talk about that. And hopefully there's people that have like to listen to it.
What was it like being a movie reviewer for those who are interested?
Uh, if you love movies, I don't know how you wouldn't want to be a movie reviewer. Like, how would you not want to give your opinion about it? I listen to a lot of people. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I always wait till I watch the movie, but I love to hear other people's opinion on movies, because sometimes they see things or take things a completely different way than what I do. And sometimes I like that, and sometimes I disagree. But I'm happy to hear it either way. That's the great things about movies. I think the ones that are done really well, especially, is you can see them from your perspective of life that no one else in the world will see that from. And to be able to share that, whether it's written word or it's podcasts like this, that's fun. That's where the fun is.
You haven't. You weren't invited to parties with Robert Downey Jr.?
not that it's in the mail, I guess, still. Yeah, no, it must be in the mail.
You haven't had your private day at Disney?
No, I have not had that. How about you?
I can't talk about it. NDAs.
Yeah, you could, but then you have to kill us, right?
No, I've not. That's not something that I have had the pleasure of doing. So, no. All right. So we've rated. 7 out of 10 is a popular score for the website.
Okay.
Just putting that out there. I don't really feel like I have the energy to go in and calculate the entire average of everything. I mean, it's something that could be done, but I don't want to. Anyway.
You're right, no.
So 7 is a popular thing. I'm going to we have 7 movies that were given 7 out of 10s from different people. So I want to see what of these movies you think is the best of this 7.
Okay.
Let me just say the names first, and then I'll let you talk. Lightyear, Raya and the Last Dragon, Godzilla vs. Kong, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, Rampage, Spies in Disguise, and Dark Phoenix.
Are you talking 3D, or are you talking just movie?
Just the movie.
I probably would pick. Quick, read them again, just in like 2 seconds. Blast through them.
Lightyear, Raya and the Last Dragon, Godzilla vs. Kong, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, Rampage, Spies in Disguise, and Dark Phoenix.
I probably would do. Probably would do a tie between Kong. No, I would do Kong first, and I'd probably do Welcome to the Jungle, Jumanji second.
Okay.
That was Godzilla Kong's kind of what I got what I wanted from that. And it's on Blu-ray, by the way. It's really good 3D at home if you got it. The Jumanji movie, I think, was one that completely shocked me how much I enjoyed it. Really good cast in that. and it was just kind of out of nowhere. I didn't expect it to be as enjoyable as it was. I'm not a big Lightyear fan, or Spies in Disguise. And they're not awful, but they're not anything I would watch anytime soon. So I'd probably take Kong, and the last two Kong movies, and the Godzilla for that matter. They're movies where if I don't know what to watch, I'll throw those in. I just like them for some reason. I guess monster movies I like.
Okay. So we have quite a few really badly reviewed movies.
Okay.
Now, I'll list them and you tell me which you think is the worst of this bunch.
Okay.
Jupiter Ascending, Gods of Egypt, Alice Through the Looking Glass, Ghostbusters 2016, Exodus Gods and Kings, The Emoji Movie, The Mummy, Wonder Park, Skyscraper, and A Wrinkle in Time. What do you think is the worst of all that?
Oh man, I can honestly say I haven't seen all of them, and I will honestly say some of those I actually really like. I am a fan of Exodus. I have to admit, I like that Ridley Scott movie. And if you want mindless action, I like Skyscraper as well, which is another good 3D disc. For those out there with 3D at home, get both of them are in 3D. You get them on Blu-ray, but Skyscraper has good 3D. Probably the Alice in Wonderland one. I am not a fan of those Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland movies at all. Now, I didn't see the Emoji Movie, but yeah, the Jupiter Ascending, that was a letdown. But Alice, I would watch that before Alice in Wonderland for sure.
It's interesting. As I was writing the review for Alice Through the Looking Glass, I kept lowered my score.
Yeah, I can't. Oh man, there's just something about those I just do not like.
Yeah.
I think I'm like a Tim Burton. There's no middle ground for me. I typically either love his movies, like I love his Batman movies. I actually love Sleepy Hollow. But if he's off for me, he's way off, and I just can't. There's no middle ground for me.
All right, let's go to the other end. Here are some of the best rated movies. What do you think of this? This is the 9 list, not the 10 list. Avengers: Infinity War, Avengers: Endgame, Titanic, They Shall Not Grow Old, Spider-Man: Spider-Verse, Puss in Boots: Last Wish, How to Train Your Dragon 2 and 3, Missing Link, and Toy Story 4.
Man, that's tough to say which one's best. I mean, they're all over the place. I still haven't seen Puss in Boots yet. I know you guys, every time I talk to you guys, you're like, you got to watch it. So it's on my list. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Man, I probably going to go with Endgame just because. I mean, Infinity War is great. I love How to Train Your Dragon. I think that's one of the best trilogies of certainly of animated movies. I probably like that better actually than the Toy Story movies. But it's one of the best trilogies maybe of any kind of movies. So those are really good. Infinity War, I like Infinity War a lot, although I think it has some lulls. Endgame's long, but it has all the emotional punch that Infinity War only has at the end for me. Infinity War, I think, slows down then with the stuff with Gamora. It slows down with Hulk, or not Hulk. Pardon me, with Thor getting the axe. It has some of those lulls for me, so I'm going to go with Endgame, even though I do like Titanic too. But yeah, the first half can drag a little bit. Once it hits the action, the second half, Titanic's outstanding. Again, another great 3D disc for home on Blu-ray.
What movies from the last 9 years have you felt like have been overrated or underappreciated, or what do you think? What were too high or what are too low? Just general consensus, not just us.
All right. Well, I'm going to put my neck out there, and I guess it's good. This is the last podcast. So I was born in 1972. So I was 5 when Star Wars came out. Or I'm sorry. I was 5. So I saw the first Star Wars in the theater, not like when I was 6 or 7, because it ran for like years straight. Like they don't do that anymore, right? So I'm a Star Wars fanatic, grew up with it, all the toys, all that stuff, lived it my whole life. I think the last three Star Wars movies got hammered way too much by Star Wars fans. I think people like me, my age, had an expectation of what they thought it would or should be, and because it wasn't that, they hammered it. I don't think they're nearly as bad as what people hammer them. I think Ryan Johnson did something different, and they hammered him because he did something different. I think JJ did something similar, and they hammered him because he did something similar. So it was like no matter what anyone did, they complained. The Force Awakens got a buy just because the nostalgia was so high for it, I think. And then after that, it was just no matter what you do, we're going to hate you. And I watch all three of those movies at home. They're all in 3D, Blu-ray. You can get them. All 3D is excellent on all three of them. And I would say those three, even though they made lots of money, don't get me wrong, I think they got hammered too hard over the past 8 years.
Okay. What things were too low, or I guess too high? What movies you think were too hot, where people were like, "This is the best ever," and eh?
Oh man, that's tough. Trying to think of something out of my head. I'm sorry.
I kind of sort of started liking the Venom movie after the second one, but I did not like the first one at all.
The first Venom movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought both of them were okay. I don't think and maybe that's a good example. I don't think they were next level great by any means. They were kind of I don't know, almost like a poor man's Marvel movie when they came out, But even Marvel, I would say, like everyone hammers all these movies, and yeah, I mean, Black Widow is average, and Eternals is a little long, but I don't hate them. I find good in them, and they're, to me, they're watchable. Some I won't watch over and over, but I don't know that they're as bad. Trying to think what's been rated really high that I haven't enjoyed.
All right. So, as we watch stuff, there's some surprises that come around. What are some 3D movies that really surprised you?
Well, it's been tough. I mean, as you know, it's been tough in the theater to get a solid experience. I think I was surprised how good Doctor Strange was in 3D. That was a nice surprise given the time of year that we really, we weren't seeing a lot of 3D. There's been a lot of great 3D, quite frankly, maybe not great, but really good. I'll give it at home. Now you've got to search high and low and pay a premium to watch it at home, unfortunately, because most of the discs you're either getting it from Australia or Japan or United Kingdom. But there's been some pleasant surprises with that from Spider-Man, and a lot of it's been Marvel stuff, but even like some of the older stuff like Skyscraper, and I've started buying old 3D discs just to see the 3D quality. And last week I watched. Remember the movie Pompeii that came out many years ago?
Barely.
Well, I grant you, the movie doesn't have a lot of value to it, but the 3D is outstanding in that movie. The 3D disc is great. So if you're a lover of 3D, you can find a lot of cheap movies out there. You watch them for the 3D quality for the most part. But that's kind of where I've been with 3D over the last couple of years. Of course, Way of Water 3D was fun. We've got a lot of opportunities this year for more 3D, and hopefully it'll be good. Black Panther was kind of a letdown. I think we all agreed the 3D wasn't as good as what we had hoped it would be, especially when you saw the trailer for Way of Water before it. So that was probably my biggest disappointment of 3D. In the theater was Wakanda Forever.
I was really surprised by Spies in Disguise. Before it came out for the last year or so, because it was in development hell forever, and we're like, okay, they got delayed for months for no reason, and every time we saw trailers for it, we're just like, we just crapped all over that movie, and we finally come out, it's actually pretty good. And it's like, damn it. They actually make this work, and it doesn't make any sense because it looks terrible, but it does work, and that surprised me.
Yeah, well, that's on my list to watch because that is one movie. I have not seen actually.
All right. So, what phenomenal 3D moments, specific moments you have spoiled, do you want to mention? These moments you're never going to forget because the 3D is so great.
Oh man, you talking theater or
Whatever.
man? Well, my go-to is always typically if somebody stops by and they haven't seen a 3D movie ever or for a while, Avatar and quite frankly, The Force Awakens are my go-tos right now. There's rumors that the second Avatar is going to be released United States on a Blu-ray 3D. So hopefully that's the case. But there's movements in that on 3D that, and still, I think that, and I've gone back and seen Titanic in 3D and stuff like that in the theater. But I remember when Avatar first came out and going to IMAX and seeing that in 3D, and that was kind of life changing as far as a 3D fan went. I had never seen anything like that on the screen before. And I don't know if anything will ever top that moment. That was kind of like the 3D moment. Seeing Endgame in the theater, when, and I happened to be traveling and with my wife, and we were in London when Endgame came out, and we went to a 4DX theater. So it was 3D, and it had the seats that rumbled and water sprays up, all that stuff. But when and they're typically a smaller theater because of the cost of them. But when when it reveals the hammer going back to Captain America, the audience going crazy, and then when on your left when that happens, and the rings from Doctor Strange and them start opening up, and everybody starts walking through, everybody cheering, and those are just great great moments in the theater, and the 3D was good for that as well, and Endgame in the theater.
Yeah. I mean, I guess overall moments, 3D and movie wise, but definitely having the captain wear the hammer or hold the hammer, everyone was cheering, and that's something that you have to have that experience in the theaters because it was so amazing to have that roar of people, excited and happy.
Yeah.
And then the gasp when the snap actually did happen in Infinity War, and like, oh crap, I actually did it.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. That we take it for granted now. Really, we were like, they did it. They killed them and stopped the movie. How are they going to do this? Yeah, it was shocking.
And I remember in Infinity War, there's when Doctor Strange was fighting Thanos, and he became like he copied himself or something, and he used his whip.
Oh yeah.
And the whip scene that was in Shang-Chi was really badass too. There's a lot of phenomenal little moments here and there. I mean,
yeah, on the bus in Shang-Chi.
Yeah,
that's a great scene.
Definitely the great. I mean, now the Guardians 3, the hallway scene is a great, phenomenal moment in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing with Justice League actually getting released, and I never thought that would actually happen, and I actually really, really love the Snyder Cut a lot.
Yes, that's a great decision. I do too. I do love that.
I mean, there's definitely some things there that could have been great in 3D that we never got to see, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that, and I plan on, that's broken out over 2 discs, I think, if you have it for, on disc at home, and I'm definitely going to watch that before The Flash. I'm not sure if it ties in at all, but I kind of want to have that tie into it before I go see The Flash.
Were there specific scenes that you remember? Like, obviously the walk, and he actually is walking between the 2 towers. The depth there was incredible.
Yeah.
Scenes like, just a lot of the slow motion scenes that were in Alpha. I don't know if you saw that one.
I did not. No, I didn't see that. The scene where Ray and Finn take the Falcon for the first time. They got the TIE fighters chasing them. They end up going through the Star Destroyer that's crashed on the planet. the 3D in that is great, and the sound is great in that. That's going back a couple years, but that's really good.
All right. What are some horrible movie moments that you wish that you could forget?
Well, it wasn't horrible, but watching some of the scenes in Guardians this past weekend was pretty rough to watch. It was sad. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, for me to go to the movies, and maybe I'm too discerning on what I choose to go see, and that's why I'm safe. There's not too often I leave a movie and I'm just angry or frustrated. I think the last movie, quite frankly, where I left and I was just completely disappointed was the last Thor movie. Love and Thunder just. I was really disappointed with that. I was disappointed how they handled the Guardians and how they made Thor more jokey than Warrior. And I watched it again at home. I felt no different. So that's probably the most. Yeah, I know it's not a scene necessarily, but that movie was probably the most disappointing for me in a long, long time.
Okay. Now, speaking of disappointing, we got 7 movies here that I think most people say is disappointing. What do you think is the most disappointing of this list?
Okay.
Star Wars 9: Rise of Skywalker, Wonder Woman 1984, Mulan, the live action remake Mulan.
Yep.
Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, Justice League, Independence Day: Resurgence, and Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Oh man. What was the second one again after Star Wars?
Wonder Woman 84.
That I'll say that because, and that doesn't mean that Independence Day was any good, but I didn't have high hopes on that. I kind of expected it to be kind of a rough one because they waited so long to do it. But yeah, it's definitely 84. Because that first Wonder Woman movie, I think, is outstanding. And it holds up, and Chris Pine is great, and Godot, like that's a really good comic book movie. And then 84, the bottom just fell out, and it's really not enjoyable. And I've watched it in 3D. I've watched it probably. I didn't see it in theater because that was like right around a COVID release, right?
Yeah, that was the middle of COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I've watched it twice, maybe at home, once in 3D. And yeah, no, I can't get that. That would be of all those. If you asked me to watch all those movies, that would be the last one I would choose to watch easily.
I feel like Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, the extended edition, actually pretty great.
Yep, I completely agree. That's a really good movie. And back to your Justice League, that's even Joss's version. The theatrical release Justice League I would watch before Wonder Woman, I think. And that has a lot of problems, but
yeah, and I feel like Justice League is one of those. Yeah, it has problems. Yeah, but I still kind of like it. I obviously like the Snyder cut a lot more, but
yep,
I still think the theatrical cut is okay. It's good.
Yeah, but you're right about Batman and Superman. The extended version, which unfortunately isn't in 3D, the theatrical version is. The extended version is very good.
Now, we've had some surprises over the last few years. Which of these movies surprised you the most, I guess? Spies in Disguise, Missing Link, Rampage, Alpha, Bumblebee movie, Jumanji movies being good, the Angry Birds movies being good, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and The Walk.
Well, admittedly, there's a bunch on this list I haven't seen. I think probably a tie. The Walk is very good, but that didn't surprise me. Great actor, great director, so I wasn't surprised it was good. So I'll probably go with. It's probably those Jumanji movies that were so much better than what I expected.
Okay. I remember everyone talking about the Bumblebee movie actually being good, and I never got around to seeing it.
Yeah, it's a problem with some of those Transformer movies beyond the story or lack thereof is they're just, it's like they're like 2.5 hours long. For movies that barely have a story, why they're so long, I don't know. And Bumblebee is not nearly as long. It's okay. It's kind of what I would expect Transformer movie to be. And if this new one is more like that than like the last couple Bay movies, it might be okay. But I was much more surprised with the Jumanji movies, I think.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I told you the story, but um, Alpha is not a movie that I was super excited for, but it was like nothing else going on, and I was like, you know what? I'll cash in the Patreon money I have for the month and go watch this. And I watched it in IMAX 3D, and it was a great movie. I beautifully shot and really just a great movie for dog lovers, and how it's just a beautiful 3D movie. And I was like, damn, I would not have had this experience at the Patreons because I would not have spent money on this on my own. But it worked out really well, and I really love that movie.
So you saw that in 3D then?
Yeah, I saw it in IMAX 3D when it came out.
Oh, no kidding. I don't know that it was around here. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was a big flop, so no one thinks about that movie anymore. But the title was terrible, but the movie itself was really great.
Okay, I'll have to keep an eye out. I don't know. I don't think it was ever released on Blu-ray in 3D though.
Nope.
Yeah, it's a shame.
How excited are you for 3D in the future?
Well, I mean, it's nice that there's showings happening. So I guess I shouldn't complain about what we're getting because it's a lot more than what we did even a year ago, right? But I guess I am disappointed. I had hoped, a movie that did 2 billion in the theater or whatever Avatar ended up doing. I had hoped that it would push it a little harder than it has. It just, I don't think we'll ever be back now. I thought there was a chance maybe to get back, and now I believe it's what we're getting is probably about as good as it's going to get. I certainly don't see the manufacturers putting it back into TVs at home. And if you don't have that home viewing audience, which you won't because streamers won't carry it. Yeah, I think what we're getting is probably it's going to be limited to just a few showings, just the major movies only, and that's it. So it's disappointing, but it's more than what we've been getting, so I'll take it.
It just seems like a crapshoot of what's going to be a 3D release and what isn't, and why.
Yeah, and this has been some of the challenge with doing the podcast for us is, even for the big movies, there'll be a showing at 10 in the morning and then 10 at night. And it's like, well, okay, I'm working at 10 in the morning. Oh man, how do I go to a movie that's almost 3 hours long at 10 at night? And it just they make it really challenging to go see them. At least in my area, they do.
I mean, I had to watch Wonder Park, and I had to drive an hour out of my way to see it, and they only had one showing, and I was the only adult in the whole theater.
Oh, really? No kidding.
And it was actually a big bomb, and I was like maybe 5 people in the whole theater. I got D-Box, so it was actually really cool. The 3D was great on it, and D-Box was great on it, and the movie itself was just like, I drove an hour out of my way to do a 5 out of 10 movie. Yay.
Oh my, yeah, that's I mean that's just it, right? Like why would you do that?
So
and it's a shame.
Like we're gonna get the Meg 2 have a 3D release, but not the Flash. It's like, come on.
Right? Yeah, I know that, and yeah, I don't think did the first Meg come out in 3D in theaters?
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember. Okay, yeah. I know I watch it at home in 3D. So yeah, that looks kind of crazy, but yeah, why not the Flash? Like why? I don't know if is that Warner Brothers just not wanting to put the money to it to create it. I can't understand why they would do that.
And I feel like it's sad because there was several years where 3D wasn't that good. I'll just admit it. It's not a lie. It's not biased. It's just they've gotten better at it. Over the years, they've gotten a lot better at it, where it's, even the worst 3D recently is not that bad compared to how it was like 5 years ago, 7 years ago. And
right.
I feel like they've really gotten knowing how to convert things really well, and um, on average, most movies look really good in 3D now, if not great. So it's not that hard, and I feel like they really got it down, and now it's gonna just be dying off. One movie. Basically for now, Disney's the only person in town that really puts all their effort in, and DreamWorks and Illumination. But besides that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I mean, if I don't know, maybe Disney can buy up all these other companies. I don't know that will get more 3D movies, but yeah, I saw today, and we were recording this on Thursday, and like Disney they just lost a ton of Disney Plus subscribers the last quarter. They reported, uh, so it's going to be interesting to see where these companies are willing to spend their money. Even Guardians, they were talking about, well, it was a good opening, but it was lower than the last one, so it wasn't up to their expectations. I was like, man, I'm not sure where the future lies with all this stuff.
what are some of the best 3D movies, like 3D in the 3D movies that we've seen in the last 9 years or so?
Well, trying to think. Certainly, this last Avatar has got to be at the top of the list, I would think. There's been some conversions that have been done. They put Jurassic Park back out in theaters in 3D. That was really good. Titanic was back out. That was really good. The Avenger movies I thought were well done. The Marvel ones are usually pretty good. Doctor Strange I thought was really good. Shang-Chi had great moments. Wakanda Forever was probably the only one that I was really disappointed about. But to your point, there hasn't been a lot of other ones. I haven't seen a ton of the animated ones in theater with 3D recently. Most of that, if I see that, it ends up being at home just because of my schedule. But it's been those Marvel and some Cameron stuff. I saw Jaws in 3D, and that wasn't bad. And for a movie that goes back to 1975, was pretty good. So it's kind of neat that they're taking time with some of these bigger movies of the past, but you'd like to see movies like Flash and those that we talked about getting to release as well.
So, obviously Avatar Way of Water. Now, I did not like this movie. I will admit to it 100%. But damn it, the 3D was really fantastic. SpongeBob, Sponge Out of Water. Oh,
I did not see it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Beautiful 3D. And Doctor Strange movies, really great. Both of them. And I don't know if you ever saw Everest, but I really liked the 2015 movie.
I did not see it in the theater, but I've seen it at home. The 3D is really good. Yeah, that movie's really good.
And Transformers: The Last Night. I know it's not a great movie. I'm not going to pretend it is, but I think it was filmed in IMAX 3D, and it's gorgeous.
It was. Yeah, the last 3 Transformers were all 3D movies. Yeah, I think 3, because the first 2 I don't think were, and all of them have really good 3D. But they're not really good movies for the most part. That's the downside.
Do you have any regrets on your time on the website?
Recording with you guys? No, none at all. My only regret is back to what I said kind of at the opening, is just not enough. Life gets in the way, and it becomes it's challenging with people all over the country trying to line things up. I just wish we had more time and more opportunities. Part of the reason we don't record as much is because there's not that many 3D movies to see, and you've done a good job of finding ways with other movies to have other recordings. That's been fun, but I wish it would be like, man, we have all these 3D movies. How are we going to review them? And that hasn't been the case, unfortunately.
I do regret that we never got a chance to have a review with you, that you wrote entirely of.
Yeah.
That is something that I really, really wanted to happen before the wrap up of the website, and the scheduling just did not make that possible.
Yeah, I think we got back to the fun times. Like one of the most fun reviews we had a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't for the 3D necessarily, but we talked about Picard season 3, and that was fun. I enjoyed talking to somebody about that.
I would have liked to have, whenever I reviewed Titanic, to have the Titanic Blu-ray review. But
Yeah.
You have it, and you just didn't have the time to write it, and it's all.
Yeah, yeah. Those are regrets. Those are regrets I have for sure.
I mean, I wish that we did have the ability to see movies early, so that way you don't have you could watch the movie, on Thursday or Wednesday or something, and then have the review up and have the time to write the review and not have to worry about life. But it's the situation
Yeah.
how we are, that we have to watch it in theaters with like everyone else. We don't have early or free screenings or anything, so.
Yep. Yeah. We need that pause button you talked about.
Yeah, the click remote, make that real.
Yeah. How about it? Jeez.
Do you have any revelations you want to reveal to the audience that you've been holding back? Like,
No, I think I've been fairly straightforward. It's I'm on here to talk about something that's a passion, and I love movies, and the older I get, the more I seem to like it. I joke with friends and family, like, hey, when my work week's over, I've got every reason to just go down to the basement and watch movies all weekend, and that doesn't usually happen because of this life that we keep talking about.
you're not a time traveler. You're not an alien from another galaxy.
No, I wish. No, nothing too exciting. I mean, I turned 51 this year. I've got, I'm on a second marriage, but I've been married for 20 years and 3 kids, and life's been pretty good to me. I've been fortunate. I've worked hard. My wife works hard, but we've been fortunate to have a good life, and so yeah, I've got no complaints. But the only one is time. Not enough of it.
Do you actually listen to the podcast even when you're not on it?
I tried to. Yeah, I tried to listen to it once you put it up, because I tried to self-critique, which I'm not good at, because I'm never happy with myself. But I do. I listen to, really the only podcasts I listen to are movie podcasts, and yours is one of them. And there's some other ones I listen to, but they're pretty much all about movies. I drive 55 minutes one way to work, so I got plenty of time.
Yeah, I mean, I have to. I mean, I'd be a very bad editor-in-chief if I did it.
Right.
And you never know. There's been a couple times where it sounds fine, everything sounds good, but when I actually post it, something messed up somewhere down the line, and I have to repost the file. And it's like, I didn't know about it until I heard it, and it sounded like crap. And I was like, what the hell? What happened here?
Yeah, right.
So there's, occasional, sometimes I re-listen to it, but I usually listen to it fast to make sure there's nothing to.
Yeah.
But
Well, you're listening to it many times over just to get it all cut and edited and everything, so I don't blame you.
And there's a couple of times where I missed the F word here and there, but whatever.
Yeah, we don't have anybody after us. We're safe.
Yeah. I try not to cuss and be too explicit, but, sometimes it happens, and I was like, I used to be really good at writing it down, like having a sticky note. All right, 45, 44, John said, something very offensive, F word. Am I going to edit that out? And now I just like, whatever. So that, I don't really edit out content, like, per se, stuff I disagree with. I just edit out stuff that, for time, mostly. And it's just,
right.
A lot of times it's easier to take, there's a lot of dead air that we have in the podcast that is edited out, and we actually listen to it. And there's sometimes where we have and I don't know, some of that stuff gets edited out, and some of that stuff gets kept for patrons and gets edited out from the public, and you don't know until you listen to the Patreon version.
There you go.
So you don't know what you're missing. But if you're not a Patreon, you definitely missed out on a lot of podcasts and a lot of extended podcasts and a lot of stories and such. Um,
Hmm.
so what do you do? What are you going to do after the website ends? Do you have any plugs you want to give? You have your own YouTube page?
I don't. I don't. Like we were talking about, life's too busy. So I don't know. I mean, I'm always looking for opportunities, I guess, to be able to talk about stuff, and if anybody has some, and but I definitely am not the easiest. I can see myself enough to know, hey, I don't have the time to make a full commitment like you've done with this yet in my life. Maybe in the near future, I'll be able to do that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to, every year is another year of movies, I hope. And I really love it. And hopefully definitely be watching at home and in the theater. So, but hopefully there'll be some chances down the road to give opinions here or there, either recorded or written, but I don't have anything in the works right now.
I mean, I guess part of the regrets, I regret that we never got to do a live show and like, visit each other and see each other in person and hang out.
Yeah.
I never actually met you in person. And I would have liked to. I would have, I have been dying to actually have a for real Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah. It's yeah, I live in the heart of, it's funny, I live in the heart of the Amish country, like I pass horse and buggies going to work every day. So there's amazing places in this country. It's just hard to get to them all.
But yeah, I would have loved to done live shows. I know those have make a lot of money for people, and people and the fans seem to like it. And if you do a good enough job, you can make them really worth it for the fans.
Hmm.
Because I don't, having a live show sounds weird, and like live music too. You got to be there, but you got to make sure you have something for the audience, so that way it's not just for you're there, you paid to be in person. That's not good enough for some things. Sometimes you need more.
Yeah.
And, but I would have loved to have that, and imagine, having a big auditorium with us all together, and maybe one day in the future, someone rich will decide, hey, you guys should do another podcast, a reunion, and
Yeah. We need investment capital.
he'll pay us $1 million for a podcast for each of us. We'll just have to record in person. Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
I can live with that.
So, you don't have like any websites you want to plug, or any kind of, I don't know, charities you want people to donate to, or causes?
No, I listen. If people are looking for places to listen, I listen to Now Playing podcast. Those guys have been doing it for, I don't know if you ever listened to them, but they review at least. They put out at least one movie every Tuesday. They put out, and then they do Patreon stuff on Fridays. And they've been doing it a long time. Really good work on movie podcasts. So if you're looking for that, I follow a bunch of the digitalbits.com is a really good website for movies, home releases, and things like that. Sean Chandler's a guy I watch on YouTube. He does movie reviews. That's really good. But yeah, there's so much stuff out there. You can almost get overloaded with reviews. So I find a kind of couple that I enjoy, and I stay pretty loyal to them, listening and watching those things. But hopefully, my hope is, kind of getting into some final comments. I'm hopeful that we'll still talk even though we don't record it and talk about movies. I was down in Philadelphia for work a couple of days, and I got have a buddy from college, and we've known each other for 30 years now, and he's kind of like you and me, like we love movies, Star Trek, Star Wars, just a little bit of everything, man. We got together for dinner last night and literally sat there for hours, and a good part of that was just talking about movies and streaming shows and all that kind of stuff, and it's just fun to do that. So I'm hopeful that you and I will be able to do that, continue to do that in the future, even though we're not recording it or publishing it.
I mean, maybe we will, just for YouTube instead of podcasts and a website.
Yeah.
I'm not, I do have my own YouTube page that I want to start putting content on, but you could, website and a YouTube and it's just a lot of stuff to do, and you got to just focus, and I can't do
Yep.
both. So,
Yep. It's too much. Yeah. Right.
all right. So before we wrap up, I want to give you 1 minute to do a monologue. If you go over, I'm not going to cry. This monologue. This monologue is something that you could express whatever you want to say. If you want to encourage people to vote, go for it. If you want to say that vote for this person, that whatever. If you want to, have a big speech about capitalism or whatever. I don't care what it is. If you want to just say obscenity after curse words after foul words, whatever. If you just want to do a speech about your favorite movie of all time, go for it. But the microphone is yours. Do you have a minute?
Well, I don't have I don't. I'll try to give you a minute. I don't even know if I have that. I'm not one for speeches. At least I don't think I am. I can babble forever about movies and things I'm passionate about, I guess, but maybe sports sometimes too. But I'll use it to say thank you for people to listen. Thank you, Ada, for having this podcast for so many years, long before I even knew it existed. And thank you for making me part of the team and giving me the opportunity to talk about movies. I think movies are a great way to look at our world, not just our nation, but our world and what's going on, and able to. There's so many things you can learn and things you can enjoy through movies, and I think that's why I love them the most. So I just encourage people to continue to go to the theater, and it's not cheap. It's an investment, but I think it's one worthwhile, and I hope people. I'm not a big streaming guy, even though I have a lot of services, because there's few things that I watch. But I hope people would just keep going to the movies and going out there and watching them and investing in movies so we can continue to see them. It's just a great part of our world, that I can't express it enough. It's just a good way to escape some of the things that go on that you can't control. So continue to go to the movies, but yeah, just thank you, appreciate it. I don't know, maybe I'm letting you down. I'm not too controversial, I guess.
I don't know. I just want to give you the opportunity. People say you don't get the microphone that often. Use the time you got. So
yeah,
I want to give you a time. I appreciate the kind words. I'm not going to say I'm not. But I don't know if you want to have a big speech endorsing Haley or what? No, not Haley Barber. I don't know, endorsing a specific candidate because you like them or something. I don't know. Whatever.
No, I keep politics. I keep it away. I keep away from that. It's too frustrating to focus on that. Life's hard enough, let alone dealing with some of these other things. That's why, one of the things I love about like movies in this podcast is that we, like my buddy last night, I can almost guarantee you we don't align politically, but we can align with our passion for these other things and be best friends for 30 years and love each other man to man as just brothers. And we keep all that stuff out because it just doesn't need to get between us. So
okay.
I keep this stuff. That's what I love about movies, because no matter what our background is, no matter what our faith or our political beliefs or any of that, it doesn't have to matter. We can still sit down and watch, Avengers Endgame and cry and cheer at the same time and be one as we do that. I just love that experience together.
Okay. Well, I guess that's gonna be it. This might probably be your last podcast with us. So,
well, I thank you. I thank everybody for listening. Hope they enjoyed. I hope we did a good job for them.
All right. Goodbye, John.
All right. Take care, Adolf. Thank you.